Welcome to battle number 5 of week number 3 of the FNF Victory Road Draft League Season 3. This battle is going to be pitting Startoad's team, which is Milwaukee Mudkips, versus Morgana's team, which is Lakeshore Ledians. As a reminder, the Mega Pokemon available in this battle is going to be Mega Scizor on the Milwaukee Mudkips. And then we have Z Pokemon, Z Any Latios, Z Attack Arcanine on Milwaukee Mudkips. And on Lakeshore Ledians, we have Sandslash Alola. So this is looking like it's going to be a Hail-based team for Morgana. It's the first thing I noticed. Ninetales and Alola Sandslash setting up a core for the Hail there. Sandslash Alola does have a decent time in this matchup, I think. It can pretty much hit everything except Scizor if it carries Earthquake. And then on Startoad's side, it looks like he has a mix of offensive and defensive Pokemon. Of course, Morgana is really hyper offensive in this one. Startoad's a little bit more defensive as well. Amoonguss is going to have to really be careful though, because almost all of Morgana's Pokemon have something that could hit Amoonguss really hard. But if it could get a Vital Spore to maybe on Sandslash Alola, actually, that would be really good for him. Scizor is looking extremely threatening in this one. Not only is it pretty bulky, it could also go for bullet punches versus the ice types, and even versus Mismagius, which is pretty frail. Heatran will give it some trouble, but who knows if it has superpower. Arcanine could be troublesome too, but it really depends. Arcanine does have a very nice move pool, but if Sharpedo gets a Protect Up and outspeeds it, that could be interesting. I'm really interested to see how Sharpedo does, actually. We haven't really seen Sharpedo do a lot in the history of Draft League. Mega Sharpedo was drafted once, but regular, actually, I don't think has done that much. So, really excited to see how this goes. And of course, maybe Morgana's going to be going for Aurora Veil. Since his team is rather frail, that'll give some of his Pokemon chances to set up. And then, of course, Zeraora is here. I think that Crocodile could also be a big problem if it's Scarfed. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'm really curious to see how it goes. So let's jump in and see how this battle unfolds. This is the first time we see Morgana bring his Hail Sweeper. So let's see what Sandslash has to do. So Lizard the Heliolisk is the first one to come out versus Garn the Heatran. Heatran with an Air Balloon. It's probably not going to want to pop that. Maybe he was predicting the Crocodile lead. I think this is going to be a Volt Switch lead instead. I really think that Morgana's going to want to preserve that Air Balloon, or maybe just set up rocks right away. I'm not sure. I think we could see a switch into Zeraora, though, to absorb the Volt Switch. Startoad might call that out, though, and go for the Hyper Voice. It's looking like it could be either side right now. I think the most sensible switch-in for Startoad is probably Latios. Especially if it has Defog, it could just defog any rocks that are set up. Heatran can't hit Latios that hard. It doesn't really have anything that hits Latios super hard. Flash Cannon could still do a decent chunk if it's an offensive Heatran, but Latios resists fire moves and also has Levitate for Earth Power, which is really nice. Garn could also maybe Scout if it uses Protect. No, we see his Jet Setter come in, Zeraora. That's Volt Switch is going to be absorbed, so that was a good play by Morgana, predicting that Volt Switch. If Lizard is Choice Scarfed, it has no choice but to switch out. I do think we'll probably see Amoonguss come in. This is probably one of the Pokemon that Amoonguss is quite comfortable versus. Indeed, we do Mr. Mushroom. The Amoonguss comes in and a Bulk Up is set up for Jet Setter, but Jet Setter is going to have to be careful of Spore. Doesn't want to fall asleep, and nothing could come in to take that Spore and not fall asleep because there are no grass types on Morgana's team. So this is pretty much Jet Setter has to do big damage or get out, but I think he might just go for the damage. Everything else just looks too essential to fall asleep. If Jet Setter has a Lumberry, though, that would be really interesting. Yeah, because I'm assuming that Zeraora has Plasma Fists, Close Combat, and then one other move. We don't know what that other move is, but it probably isn't going to do enough to take down Amoonguss. Maybe it's Knockoff? Who knows? Knockoff would at least remove Amoonguss's probable Rocky Helmet or Black Sludge. Oh, it's Fire Punch, actually. It does big damage to Amoonguss and also burns it. Amoonguss goes for the Spore, and now Jet Setter's asleep. Very interesting move. Amoonguss is going to have to switch out if it wants to... Well, no, actually, it could stay in because Zeraora is asleep, so never mind. But Zeraora looking pretty comfortable right now, although something else could come. It's really a toss-up. I think it really depends on how long the sleep turns last. Because if something switches in, or if Amoonguss stays in, that's another sleep turn taken up. And Amoonguss doesn't want to take another Fire Punch. Actually, nothing pretty much can take a Fire Punch. So this is actually an interesting crossroads that that Startoad is at right now. I think he's going to go for a switch into something, but I'm not sure what. And Garn actually comes in to take whatever... Oh, and it looks like Latios comes in to Zeraora, now Garn the Heatran. So the Surf is going to do about 56 to Heatran and also burst that balloon. Stealth Rock is now up for Morgana, so Startoad has Stealth Rock up on his side of the field. Latios can defog, however, so that's something to take into consideration. Garn can't get hit by another Surf or it goes down, but nothing really switches comfortably into Latios. So I'm actually wondering if Ninetales is faster or not. 348, 350. No, just 1 point slower pretty much, or 2 points rather. So it's going to be interesting to see who Morgana decides to switch in. And actually Heliolisk is going to be the one who comes in, and Ninetales Alola comes in. Melia the Ninetales Alola. We might see an Aurora Veil go up, or maybe Ninetales just goes straight away for a Blizzard. I think Aurora Veil is the more likely option. And nothing really wants to come into Ninetales Alola except Arcanine and Scizor, so there's two options. But there are some interesting things that Ninetales has in its moveset. Oh, and it actually goes for the Hypnosis. Interesting tactic. Both sides have a Pokemon that are asleep. Hypnosis being an extremely risky move due to its accuracy. I'm actually surprised that Ninetales went first. Oh, it's a speed tie. Interesting. So Ninetales won the speed tie and was able to get a sleep up. Now Aurora Veil is also up. Lizard still asleep, deciding to stay in. Zeraora comes in behind the Aurora Veil and asleep. Both of these Pokemon now asleep, waiting out those sleep turns, it seems. Latios comes in to try and take advantage of the situation of Jet Setter being asleep. Jet Setter still asleep. It might wake up next turn. It might take 2 more turns for it to wake up. Jet Setter, and it looks like the defog is successful. The rocks are gone and the Aurora Veil's gone, but Latios went first, which is curious. It might be a Choice Scarf Latios that might have to switch out now due to the fact that it is Scarfed. Latios should not be going before Jet Setter unless, of course, this is a bulky Zeraora build, which neglected speed to the point where Latios can outspeed it. But I think it is very likely that this Latios is actually Choice Scarfed. So if Morgana notices that, that's intel that he could use, knowing that Latios is going to have to switch out if it's Scarfed. And Zeraora could comfortably stay in and wake up from its sleep. Of course, without that bulk up boost, Amoonguss is pretty comfortable. But it looks like MVP, the Crocodile, comes in, and Melia, the Ninetales Alola, comes back in, setting up that Hail once again. MVP is pelted by Hail, so if it has a Focus Sash, it is no longer there. Likely, I think it has a Choice Scarf to get those Moxie boosts. Oh, sorry, no, it has Intimidate, so never mind. Aurora Veil is now up. The Brick Break is going to prevent the screens. It looks like Startoad very much anticipated screens being put up on Morgana's side. So Interesting that he kept Crocodile in versus Ninetales, though, which is a very bad matchup for Crocodile, as Ninetales could one-hit it. But Crocodile probably going to switch out now. We might see Scizor come in. This could be Scizzor's time to set up a Swords Dance. I think Ninetales actually might switch out, but it's hard to tell. This is an interesting situation. Ninetales can go for the Blizzard, but if Scizor comes in and gets a Swords Dance up, this could be a very, very hard battle for Morgana. Earthquake is not going to do much thanks to the screens. Not another Brick Break. I think he was maybe predicting something else coming in. And down goes MVP, the Crocodile. Score is 5-6, but this is prime time for Scizor to come in, and indeed it does. Rock, Paper, the Scizor comes in. I do predict a Bullet Punch or a Swords Dance. Swords Dance I think would be a little bit smarter right now, due to the fact that Melia is most likely going to be retreating, and it would be a free turn to set up a little bit. Fun name, Rock, Paper, and then Scizor is the Scissors. Do we know Melia's full moveset? We don't know the last move. Heatran is going to be the next one to come in. We do have Mega Scizor and the Superpower call out on Heatran switching in. That's going to do enough for Hail to... Oh, no, Hail goes just in time. It goes away. Rock Paper's now with reduced attack. That Bullet Punch still will kill, though, and Garn goes down. The Scizor looking pretty vulnerable. The score is 5-5, but Heatran is gone. That's Scizor's big answer right now. It does have lowered attack and defense, so that is a vulnerability for Scizor, but Sandslash is going to have to be very careful as well, because of the fact that Superpower still hits it 4 times effective, and no Hails up. So this is a predicament for Morgana. I think he's going to go for Zero Aura. It outspeeds, it doesn't care about Bullet Punch. It could spam Fire Punch, or predict the Latios or Arcanine switch in, and go for different moves respectively if it has knockoff. Or we might see Sharpedo come in to try and set up behind those screens with weakened Mega Scizor. Another option could be Mismagius, who seems pretty good right now. Heatran is gone, so there's no more rocks. And Heliolisk could be a problem for Mismagius. I do think it's still asleep. It is asleep. So that actually could be an option too. But yeah, Scizor is looking a lot more threatening now. It does have lowered stats from the Superpower, but it could just switch out and renew those at another time. Morgana really thinking who should come in next. I think the play could definitely be Zero Aura, but it looks like Irene the Mismagius is actually the one who comes in. Mismagius still behind that Aurora Veil. I don't think that Ninetales has Light Clay. I could be wrong. I feel like the screens haven't lasted for 5 turns. Well, maybe it's because Brick Break killed them, so maybe it does have Light Clay after all. Irene, of course, does have access to Mystical Fire, but it will have to be careful if it decides to use it. It could unintentionally cause Arcanine to gain a free Flash Fire boost. I think the most logical thing right now for Irene is to go for a Nasty Plot. That could set up some favorable conditions for Irene to start sweeping, especially if Startoad tries to call out the Mystical Fire and switch in Arcanine. And Amoonguss is actually the one who comes in. Mystical Fire is going to hit, taking down Amoonguss. The score is 4-5. And indeed, Ninetales did have Light Clay. Arcanine comes in now. I'm not sure if Shadow Ball will be enough to 2-hit KO, especially considering how Arcanine is relatively bulky. And Melia comes in, which is an interesting choice. The Flare Blitz is going to take down Melia. The Hail is set up now. That was a really interesting choice. Valak, the Sandslash Alola, comes in. behind screens, but that Flare Blitz will still do massive damage to it if it hits. This is Sandslash's swan song. Earthquake brings it down to 1%. I was thinking, I don't think Earthquake will kill. Earthquake does not kill it, 1%. Arcanine hangs on, but then dies to the Flare Blitz recoil. The score is 3-3, and screens are still up for one more turn. If Morgana wants to set something up, now is the time to do it. Startoad has 3 Pokemon left. Mega Scizor looking extremely threatening. However, Zeraora is still alive, which is something to take into consideration. It does have Fire Punch. Latios is looking pretty decent in this matchup, but Sharpedo can outspeed and go for a crunch. Ooh, this is getting down to the wire. This is very exciting. Both sides have to pick Pokemon to send out. This turn can decide the pace of the match moving forward. I think that Miss Magius is probably Morgana's best bet because it could handle pretty much everything else, especially with one turn behind a screen. For Startoad, I'm not sure. I think he should save Scizor for when the screens are gone, so one more turn. So maybe Latios, I guess, or Heliolisk to stall out the screens. But yeah, the intensity right now is extremely high. Even game, 3-3. Latios is the one who comes out, and it's Irene the Miss Magius. Irene, of course, might be able to Shadow Ball. The Psychic only going to do 27%, but it does get the special defense drop. Shadow Ball takes out Sam the Latios. That was enough to take down Latios. The screens are now gone, and Irene has a -1 special defense, although it doesn't matter too much with Scizor. Also, worthy of note is that Heliolisk is still asleep. It might still have one turn to wake up. It might wake up next turn. It's all up to that sleep counter. Lizard the Heliolisk is the next one who comes in. Morgana still has 85% and, Zeraora. Zeraora still has 85%, is still asleep, but I think it would wake up. He switches in Zeraora, and Lizard is now awake, uses the glare, but it doesn't work. Jet Setter's asleep. That was an interesting exchange there. And in comes Scizor. Jet Setter's still asleep. Scizor's going to have to be careful because that Fire Punch will do massive damage. Jet Setter looks like Morgana's star player right now with that Fire Punch. Worthy of note is that Miss Magius still has Mystical Fire too. That will do big damage. Jet Setter goes for the Fire Punch. That brings Rock Paper down to 7%, and the burn is effective. Superpower takes Jet Setter only down to 40%. Rock Paper is very vulnerable right now at 1% and burned. Jet Setter gets hit by the Bullet Punch. It only does 8%. The close combat's going to take down Rock Paper, and the score is 1-3. Startoad on his last Pokemon, which is Heliolisk. Can Heliolisk end this all? At 58%, it's looking pretty scary for Heliolisk right now, especially with that close combat. Close combat hits, Heliolisk goes down, and that is the match. It is a 3-0 score in favor of Morgana and Lakeshore Ledians over Startoad and his team, Milwaukee Mudkips. I was about to say Mudships. Mudkips. Really intense, interesting battle. Both sides bringing really strong offensive prowess. I think Startoad prepared really nicely for those screens. He had multiple ways to take down screens that Morgana set up, and Morgana prepared really nicely for Scizor. Mystical Fire and Fire Punch meant Scizor that was very uncomfortable, and it pressured it not to set up Swords Dance. Actually, Morgana was just commenting now that he was afraid of that Swords Dance. Scizor with Swords Dance, it could have just bullet punched and been a monster. Interesting that we didn't see Sharpedo. Sharpedo was also another wild card, might have Protect to get that speed boost and then try and sweep. Not sure what it would have been able to do against Scizor, but I think a +2 Swords Dance, a +2 Bullet Punch wouldn't have taken down Sharpedo. I'm not sure. Maybe it would have, actually, because Scizor is just that strong and Sharpedo's frail. But really interesting match. Very, very well played from both sides. And that was match number 5 of week 3. We still have some more matches coming up, so stay tuned for those. Until then, this is Noel from Hypno Slumber Party, and I'll see you in other matches.